As predicted by me, new home builders are starting to give great incentives. Here's what you need to know. Jeremy Knight, the Knight Group, your favorite Austin realtor. Yep, my email has been full over the last month of all of these builders talking about their incentives. Bring us your buyers, bring us your clients. So today we're going to go through how to find these incentives, where to look, how to get them. 2, we're going to go through what incentives you should be looking for, what incentives are generally offered, and overall what you can find. 3rd, we're going to go through and we're going to talk about some of the incentives that I'm seeing right now and what to expect between now and the end of the year. And as always, make sure you drop a comment below. Are you seeing incentives? Did you get incentives? Did you already close? Whatever. I want to hear from you in the comments. What's going on? Drop a comment below. Okay, so here we go. Yes, I'm starting to see a lot of new build inventory, quick move-ins, whatever you want to call it. Here's kind of a great example, just scrolling through the MLS right here. I looked at just 2021 homes that are being built. I mean, look at the pricing. Down in Kyle, 487, mid 4s. You go over on the east side of Kyle, there is some spots where you can get under 300. You have like Cypress Forest and Six Creeks in the 500s, 700s. And then you move over to Buda and you find in the 500s in Sunfield. You do have Carpenter Hill over here. Wow, you're finding properties in the 600s for Perry Homes over there. Now, if we go to Southeast Austin, you can still find homes with Braun. There's quite a few little builds going on over here. And I love this area actually because the tax rate in most of this area is like 2.14, 2.2, which actually brings up a great point. A lot of these builders don't advertise on their websites what the tax rate is for their neighborhoods. So as you're going through and doing your research, really make sure you understand what that is, because some of these new builds, like I've said, I feel like a broken record, are like 3%. So it's good to know what you're getting for the tax rate, right? If you're going to be 500,000 at 3%, or if you're going to be 500,000 at 2.2%. And we'll go through and talk about how to find that information a little bit more, but I just wanted a quick note. Over here in Southwest Austin, you have a few communities that are in the 900s, millions. Then you go over to like Province, you have homes in the 700s over here for Sweetwater, Rough Hollow, homes up into the millions. And then if you're trying to find, some more affordable options, you go down south. Like I said, over here, Vistas of Austin, 484. You got Cascades, MI has homes in here. But then you have some like DR builds, Pflugerville 400s, Carmel and Pflugerville, mid 4s to 5s. You have Blackhawk still in the 600s, Hutto. I mean, Maynard didn't even have very much at all. Whisper Valley still has homes, but it's in the 600s. Hutto, you're looking at homes in the 400s. Then you go up over to Georgetown, 600s, 700s, millions, high 6s. And then you go over to like Santa Rita Ranch. Santa Rita Ranch is in the mid 4s to 5s. On the east side of Leander, 600s, 500s, high 4s. And then you go over to Deerbrook and have homes in the 400s. Sorry for that side tangent. I just wanted to show you that there are homes kind of all on different price points. Okay, so how do you go through and find all of this information? We're going to go through that right now. Number 1, what you could do is just reach out to a realtor. Now, what we do as realtors a lot of times is communicate with a lot of these builders to find incentives, what their inventory is, and all of that fun stuff. You don't have to use a realtor. If you are going to be searching on your own, here's some ways to actually be searching. Right now, I use New Home Source if I want to look into an area maybe I don't know of and just kind of get an idea of what homes are available. I know I just showed you the MLS. I like to look through the MLS. Sometimes I'll see what the incentives are. So once you identify the neighborhood you want to be in, what you definitely want to do is get on their mailing list. I'm on a ton of mailing lists for all these builders. That's why my email is so full. And from there is where you'll get some of these incentives. So like I showed you here, GFO Homes had quick move-ins. MI Homes has quick move-ins. So go in and just look and see what inventory they do have in each one of those neighborhoods. Let's talk about what incentives you should be looking for and asking for. So typical builders do 2 types of things, right? They're going to build a to-be-built home, which we're starting to see a lot more of the inventory on. They'll do quick move-ins, whatever they name it. It's a home that they've actually picked out everything already in the home. They've picked out the lot, they've picked out all the upgrades, and they pretty much have priced it. Here's the price, you can buy it. The other thing that they do is a to-be-built home, right? So you get to pick the lot, you get to pick what upgrades go into the home, you get to pick all that fun stuff, and that's one of my favorite things to do, but those take a year to build out right now. Whereas these inventory homes, if you're looking to buy a home the next 2-3 months, these are perfect for you. So two different types of builds, and they do offer different incentives for those. So on a to-be built home is where I feel like you can get the best deal, right? Because they are gone through and they have picked out everything. So typically what they're gonna give you is they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna give you $7,500 in closing costs for using our preferred lender. Now, one thing to really note is that they actually charge you, the buyer, for the title policy. Now, if you go to sell that home, typically you, now the seller, are paying for that title policy in the sale. It's part of your closing costs. So one thing you might want to try to do is get the builder to actually pay for that title policy, because that $7,500 that they give you for using their lender, well, $3,000 to $4,000 of that is caught up in that title policy. It only gives you about $3,500, $4,500 to the actual closing costs, which your closing costs are your lender paid fees. And be very careful with those builders lenders, because they do charge a higher fee. So you might want to ask them, hey, can I get the same $7,500 incentive if I use my outside lender as well? And I always recommend try to use an outside lender just to help negotiate on pricing, because when you do the math, really it's not that much of a savings to use the builder's lender typically, but you can also go through and get them to kind of fight against each other and get some of those rates lower. And then one might be better than the other at the end. So that's a good tip for you there. The other thing with these to-be built homes that they're actually now starting to do, and we'll go over in detail, is they're giving like $15,000, $20,000 off the price. Now, they don't really like to do that as builders, but definitely try to negotiate that. Always try to negotiate for a higher amount of incentives as well. You might as well, right? The worst thing they're gonna say is no. Okay, so the other on the to-be built, what you might get incentives for is they might actually reduce the lot premium. So when you pick out a lot, they might say the lot's 20 grand. We're going to give you 10,000 off the lot premium. Good, that does save you some money. The other thing they're going to give you is like $15,000, $20,000 to the interior upgrade. So, you know, it might cost you $45,000 upgrading the interior to what you want. They're going to give you 15 to 20,000 of that. So look out for those incentives as well. One thing, whether you're doing either one, try to negotiate in blinds. I know it's like a weird thing to talk about, and it's tough because it's hard to get blinds right now just because, you know, supply issues. You know, that's like a cost that's going to end up costing you like $2 to $3 grand right when you move into your house, because you're going to move this great house and you're not going to have blinds. So that's something to try to negotiate in while you do that. This is a good spot to ask you what incentives you got on your home. Drop a comment below. Did you get incentives? Did you get no incentives? How did that look for you? So what are some of these incentives that builders are giving out right now? Well, right now it's the beginning of October, so it's early in the month. I would say more towards the middle of the month and the end of October, you'll start to see them really ramp up, trying to get more homes under contract. So you'll see more incentives towards the middle of October and the end of October. And then as we get into November, you'll probably see a lot more incentives right before that Thanksgiving time, because they want to close these homes before the end of the year. But here's a good example is if you put a home under contract in Myers Landing in New Braunfels, they are going to give you $20,000 off, price reduction, and $7,500 towards your closing costs, which is pretty awesome. All right, let's talk about another one. This is Santa Rita Ranch, Scott Felder. Scott Felder is actually doing a lot of really good incentives right now, so that's one you should keep on your radar kind of all throughout Austin. But they're giving $15,000 off inventory homes right now, move-in ready, and a lot of these are homes that are going to close before the end of the year. So here's a good example: 544 dropped to 529, 525 dropped to 511 or 512. So they are dropping some prices, and they are giving up to $10,000 in closing costs if you use their lender. Here's another example right here. This is Double Creek Ranch Scott Felder build. This, they're giving $10,000 off closing costs. So these are two really good ones. Okay, so I gave you a small taste there in just a couple communities, but definitely look at Scott Felder because I see them doing a lot of incentives. I've seen David Weekley do a lot of incentives recently. I've seen GFO Homes do incentives, Guillen Homes do incentives. So if you want some of these incentives, drop a comment below and I will try to give you what incentives I'm seeing for different builders and give you that information. And as the month progresses, I'll put on my community page good deals that I see come out. So there you go, Jeremy Ninth and Night Group, your favorite Austin realtor. Sorry I didn't give you a whole ton of incentives, but I wanted to give you a good taste of what to expect when buying a new build towards the end of the year. Have a great day.